Hi everyone, listen, I'm nervous as hell doing this reading because not only is it Ostara 2026, which is basically the real new year, not only am I doing a reading for that, but I'm also doing a reading for an entire 9 year cycle, which is something I've never done before. So I'm really nervous about doing this, but I'm really excited to talk about it. We've got to talk about it, so let's do it, all right? Now, first off, Ostara 2026, the spring equinox, will drop on the 20th of the 3rd, 2026 at 2:45 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. It is not yet British summertime because that comes on the 29th, okay? Now, the seasonal path number for Ostara 2026, which will not only color this year, but it will color the entire 9 year cycle. The seasonal path for Ostara 2026 is going to be the number 6. Now, the number 6 is the number of beauty and sacrifice, but not sacrifice in the sense that, you have to give up your entire self in order to have something. No. Sacrifice simply means compromise. It simply means compromise for the greater good. And the compromises, truth be told, don't even have to be that big. Really, it's about maintaining harmony. It's about all different elements, different types of people, different types of aesthetics coming together in harmony to create something of beauty, to create something that fosters love in other people and in ourselves, to create abundance, to create joy. So really, it's about taking a little bit of everything that this society gives to us and molding it together so that not only do we create harmony in the world, we also create long-lasting love, beauty, abundance, and even acceptance. It is a number for settling down. It is a number for commitment. It is a number for us deciding right here and right now, what type of lives we want to lead. That's the seasonal path number of Ostara, number 6. We need to commit. This is not just about love. Like, a lot of people see the number 6 and think it's about love, but it's not just associated with Venus, it's also associated with the sun. What part of love means the most to us? That's what the number 6 is all about. What type of love, abundance, joy, and happiness means the most to us? How, what is it about love and abundance that gives us our freedom? It is those considerations. It's that thing. What type of love is most sacred to us? What type of abundance is most sacred to us? What type of relationships are most sacred to us? What type of the aesthetics even are most sacred to us? It is all these things that will form the crux of whatever it is that we will commit to, that we will hold our integrity for. It is those things that we will carry with us wherever we go, whether we're traveling or moving or whatever it is that we're doing. True commitment is about commitment of what's in here. It's about what we hold sacred in here and expressing that through our aesthetics, through our creativity, through the ways in which we care for each other in our community. It's about what type of love do we hold sacred. That's the number 6. And a lot of people think, Venus is, it's Venus, so it's about being pretty. Like, no, that's just like the tip of the iceberg. That's just the tip of the iceberg. We have to remember the sun is a ball of gas. Well, technically speaking, it's a ball of gas, unless I'm mistaken. And Venus is internally corrosive. It's ultimately about evolution, about our growth. But in order for us to grow, it has to come from a place of sacredness, like I said before. So that's the seasonal path number 6, okay? Ironically, the way to realize number 6 is to broaden our horizons physically, is to try new things, meet new people, engage in new experiences. And like I said, this is not just for this year, Ostara this year. This is for the entire 9-year cycle. The ways in which we find out what type of love, abundance, wealth, and beauty are sacred to us, we have to actually try new things. We have to try new things. We have to be willing to, go to places that we don't ordinarily go to. We have to be willing to do those things in order to find truly the love that is sacred to us. Okay? And we ultimately, need to utilize our talents, but also display our uniqueness as well. So these are also things that are going to be important to us, towards us finding that number 6 that we're looking for, right? And also, it's about letting our unique side and our talents shine, and kind of doing it for a higher purpose, but also doing it to accomplish something. Like, in other words, it's about being in line with our destiny. Being in line with our destiny and trying new things and being honest with ourselves about what we're doing and why we're doing it. That's what's going to lead us to understand what type of love and abundance and beauty are going to be sacred to us. So ironically, in order for us to truly commit, in order for us to truly have roots, we need to try new things. We need to try new things. Okay. This year, actually, no, I'll get into each year in a second, right? But for this year overall, and for the whole 9-year cycle, it's going to be about us emotionally expressing ourselves, or us finding out who we are at the root of who we are. Once again, it's going to be about us discovering, the most sacred parts of what we find beautiful, but also the most sacred parts of what we find meaningful. Also, it's about recognizing what kind of transformations we want to make that mean the most to us as well. Okay? Because we are going to be quite changeable. We are going to be quite emotional. Emotions are going to run high for the next 9 years. Emotions are going to run very high for the next 9 years. There's going to be a lot of fluidity, a lot of change, a lot of, a lot of wanting to cling to beliefs and knowledge because of how emotional and moody everything is. We're going to want to cling to like what we feel to be stability, when really we need to go in the opposite direction, and we need to think to ourselves, okay, what transformations need to be made that are most sacred to us to make, that are most meaningful to us to make. Once we figure that out, having a belief system that actually benefits us and benefits our growth, that's how we do this. That's how we actually navigate the next 9 years. We have to decide what transformations are worth sticking to, what changes are worth making. And it's only once we do that that we can ascertain exactly what type of belief systems we can hold on to. And even then, we can't hold on to it for our own gain. We have to hold on to it to not only have joy in our lives, but to share that joy with other people. So ultimately, what this entire 9-year cycle is about, it's about finding commitment, but through exploring new things. And it's also about deciding what kind of love and wealth and transformations that we hold sacred, like deciding what we hold sacred, so that we can use our instinctual power for the greater good of ourselves and other people, so that we can use our dominant energy for the benefit of ourselves and other people, so that we can use the root of who we are for the benefit of ourselves and other people. So that is the whole 9-year cycle. So, but that's the number 6 portion of it. That's the Ostara portion of it. Now I've got to get into the annual number, which is 2026, right? So 2026 is number 1, right? It's a number 1 year. And as I discussed, it's the year of the fire horse. If you want to check out more about the fire horse, I've already talked about that at length. You can check that out throughout all my social media. With the annual number of number 1, with the annual number of number 1, and with the seasonal number of number 6, ultimately what it's about finding our sacred beauty that means the most to us, but also kind of building our own communities individually or within families. This is a time where we, build the lives that we, build lives of stability for ourselves as much as possible. This is the time where we do that. And again, it's going to be for the next 9 years, right? This is where we build stability, not for the world, but for ourselves, right? It's stability that we build from sacredness rather than wealth. It's beauty, it's love, and it's all that good stuff that we build from sacredness rather than needing to prove a point. We are blazing trails. We're doing things that people around us are not doing. That's for the next 9 years. That's what we're going to be doing for the next 9 years, deciding for ourselves what love and abundance truly are. And it's quite an individualistic path, which means a lot of people are going to be split into different belief systems. Because once again, this is a very emotional year and a very emotional 9-year cycle. So a lot of people are going to be split into different belief systems, split into wanting to believe different things. I feel like people are going to be more divided than ever, right? But it just is what it is. When you've got number 1 and number 6 energy together, and people are determined to live by their own integrity and form their own world from their own integrity, you do get people who are who are going to be split, right? You do have communities that are going to be split. You do have people who are going to not fight amongst themselves, but they're just not going to entertain other people's beliefs anymore, because everybody wants to choose a side and wants to be determined to stick by that side. Okay, so it is about settling down and cultivating a core ego, and and creating our own communities, but it's about doing so solo at first or within one's own family. That's what Ostara is about, and this whole year is about for this year, but it's also for the 9-year cycle. It's an overarching theme for the entire 9 years that we're talking about here, right? Now I've already talked about how trying new things is going to be important, but because it's a number 1 annual year, what's also going to be important is, like I talked about humility, I talked about that with the fire horse here. Humility is going to be important. Listening to other people is going to be important, especially listening to people one-on-one is going to be very, very important. Not only, again, it's for this year, yes, but it's also for the next 9 years. Listening to other people is going to be important. Like paying attention to how we make people feel, listening to other people, and all of that is going to be important. All of that is going to be important. Us understanding and being aware of our own sacredness, it needs to be balanced out with humility, not modesty. Modesty's false. Humility, listening to other people, genuinely being interested, forming important one-to-one relationships. That's going to be important for our growth, because if we're going to build communities of our own, we need people alongside us who are willing to help us, who are willing to be the kind voices in our ear that ground us, that remind us of reality. We need those voices in our ear, and we need the help of those people behind the scenes in order to make our worlds worth living in. We need those voices in our ears. Like collectively, we need that. So one-to-one relationships are crucial. Humility is crucial, and it spares a lot of drama that comes from the number 1 existence. Okay. And also turning our desires into nourishment, which is something that I don't think I did discuss with the fire horse. Turning our desires into nourishment is the act of not only, again, bringing joy to ourselves, but also bringing joy to other people. So we turn what we want, we own our desires, but we turn it in a way, we turn it into something that benefits others. So that is the way to navigate not only this year for Ostara, but the next 9 years. Now, do you understand why I'm excited about this? Okay. Now, I'm going to get to the astrological portion of Ostara, all right? So let's talk about it. I'm going to start with the moon and with the ascendant. So the moon is in Revati in Pisces, and it's conjunct Venus. I've got the chart up here actually, which is really handy. Hold on a second. What's going on here? Hold on a minute. You know what? It's lucky I got the chart up. It's lucky I got the chart up, but let me have a look at, because I think I made an error somewhat. Hold up. Let me see. Okay, so everything's where it's supposed to be. So I've got to rethink that. Actually, it's not an Ashlesha ascendant. It's a Magar ascendant. It's just under the wire. So beginning with the ascendant, it's a Magar ascendant. And it's so close. Like it's actually so close. Let me just have a look at this. I don't want to take it too long because this battery is a bit iffy. So hold on. Hold on. Yeah, so it's Magar ascendant that I've got here. Magar Lagna. Hold up. Yeah, Magar Lagna. That's crazy. Magar Lagna at 0 degrees. Okay. So it's not Ashlesha, it's Magar ascendant, and it's Revati moon. This is very interesting, but I'm going to start with the Revati moon first. So with Revati moon, we've got that conjunct Venus, which is also in Revati. And we've also got a square with Punavasu in Gemini, and that's in Jupiter, right? That Venus is very interesting to me because Revati in Venus is at 27 degrees. So it's at the damn near the exact exaltation point of Venus. So again, it comes back to that number 6 energy. There's a lot of emphasis on love, beauty, and abundance. There's a lot of emphasis on that, right? But we also have to remember that Venus is internally corrosive, which means behind the scenes, nothing but the best is going to be accepted for Venus. So whilst on the surface, we are absolutely going to be expressing ourselves aesthetically, behind the scenes, there are a lot of high standards. There are a lot of, wanting the best of everything. There's a lot of challenging the people around us. Okay. Yeah, with the moon conjunct Venus, yeah, there is going to be a lot of emphasis on love. Like I said before, with Ostara, there's going to be a lot of emphasis on romance, on, not even the fairy tale, but just wanting that beauty and that stability and that, wanting that, right? I feel like romantic relationships are going to have something of an uptick during the next 9 years, not even the next year, the next 9 years. Romantic relationships are going to experience an uptick, which is a good thing, because in order for us to humble ourselves, we do need those one-to-one relationships. Okay. And then with that squared with Punavasu and Jupi, the fact that the moon is squared with Jupi in the first place, it means that there's a lot of abundance to be enjoyed collectively, right? But the downside to that is that we might become complacent. With that conjunction with Venus and that square with Jupi, a lot of blessings are going to come to the surface, right? A lot of them are going to come to the table. And even though they're not necessarily like big, extravagant blessings, they're going to be like smaller blessings that are emphasized in detail, right? Even though it's not going to be like over the top blessings, there are going to be a lot of blessings coming a lot of people's way that we might end up taking for granted. And it's because it's coming from spirit, we might especially take it for granted. And that's something that we need to be on guard with. That's why we need to remain humble. We need to remain humble because spirit, it loans us everything that we have. And the purpose of spirit loaning us everything that we have is so that we can share it with other people in a way that spreads joy. Okay. So with that moon conjunct Venus, Love is in the air. Lots of love, lots of beauty, lots of romance. There's a need to beautify our lives. And with that square with Jupiter, there's a lot of blessings to come and chances to rewrite the past in our favor. But there's going to be some struggle because we might struggle against our own complacency when these blessings come in thick and fast for us. We might struggle against our own complacency here. Okay. Now, let's get into that Mercury is still in retrograde in Shatabisha. Shatabisha, the energies of Aquarius are still pretty fucking still pretty intense here, because we've got Mercury, Mars, and Rahu still here. Of course, Rahu's still here, but let me look at Mars. Yeah, Mars is in Shatabisha now, right along with Mercury. So the fact that Mercury is in retrograde here and we've got Mars like near it, a lot of the energies that I talked about before with, you know, with us potentially writing checks that our asses can't cash, that energy is going to be even more intensified with Ostara, which is why, again, humility, not modesty. Modesty is a different thing, yeah? Is you trying to behave like you don't have blessings when you do have blessings. Like, that's false modesty. Humility is in recognizing that your blessings have a particular purpose to them in terms of the greater good of humanity. That is what our blessings are. But with that Mars and Mercury, with that Mercury retrograde and that Mars very close to a particular asteroid that could cause a lot of problems, again, we need to be careful that we don't write checks with our mouths that our asses can't cash. We really need to be careful of that. This year will have us wanting to go our own way and dictate who we are for ourselves, which is a good thing. But again, we need that humility from other people, from Venus as well, which is it's still in Pisces, but this time it's conjunct the moon. So the Venus and moon conjunction might be our saving grace here, because we might be verbally combative, but that need for love, that need for kindness, that need for acceptance, it might take over somewhat, because not only is this going to be a new moon, it's a waxing moon as well. So that need for love and that need for connection might grow over time, and it might temper that it might temper the, you know, the desire to always be in control, or always have the last word. It might actually temper that. Okay, what worries me is that it goes from being like all of these placements in Aquarius, they go from being in the first house. They go from being in the first house in, what was the reading I did before? The lunar eclipse in Purva Palguni. They go from being in the first house in the lunar eclipse to the 7th house in Ostara. That's what worries me here. I feel like when it comes to other people, we may make more demands than we need to, right? We may make more demands of the people around us than we need to. But when we focus on ourselves, again, it's a number 1 year and it's a number 6 seasonal number. When we focus on our own growth and our own sense of beauty, but we don't demand that other people meet that, that's when we start to find some sort of balance within ourselves. Like collectively, when we focus on ourselves and focus on, you know, again, there's Ketu in, where's the Ketu? Hold up. Ketu is in Purva Palguni still, just about by a few minutes. So again, when we focus on the pleasures that we want to experience, And when we focus on the lessons that we want to take from our ancestry, because again, K2 wants you to have these things. It just wants you to have the things that mean the most to you, right? When you focus on these things, that's when you can start, that's when you can build your own world meaningfully and without much opposition. Because again, there are a couple of placements here. There are a couple of placements here that are very much a saving grace in Leo right now. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, like when you focus on what K2 is trying to teach you, then that's when you'll find that, that there are a lot of Hail Marys here. When you focus on your collective first house, there are going to be a lot of Hail Marys here when it comes to Ostara, and when it comes to not only this year, but until 2035, yeah. So focus on building your own sanctuary and building your own world, but also remain humble when it comes to one-on-one relationships, because that seventh house looks gnarly as hell. I can't hold you. It looks gnarly as hell. You want to be careful that you don't end up becoming controlling in your relationships. Okay. Now, hold on. Let me just see Magar's placements. Magar Ascendant's placements. Okay, so Magar is biquintile the sun. Biquintile the sun, which can be a tricky placement, but when you combine Magar and Uttara Bhadrapada together, you might get like a clash of ideals or a clash of beliefs. But it's like when they actually learn from each other, like magic can happen, right? So it's not an easy placement, the sun with the ascendant, but there's potential there for good things to come out of it. Now we've got the trines with the moon and Venus for our ascendant, because it's in Magar 0 degrees. So that feeling of love and beauty, and it might, yeah, like I see a combination between number 1 and number 6 here. I do see that with this placement. It means we're building our own worlds, but it's like within them, there's a sense of romance, there's a sense of enchantment, beautification. It's a beautiful vibes that I'm getting from this. It's just that ironically, a lot of people collectively might not be interested in those beautiful vibes, might not be interested in romanticizing their own lives, and instead want to control other people's lives, or the people in their own relationships. They might focus on trying to control them. Do you understand what I mean? So again, that's something to watch out for, that humility is crucial. There's also, I missed that. There's a biquintile to Nep, also Uttara Bhadrapada. I think with the Sun and Neptune, there's the potential for delusion. But if there's one thing that I've known, is that when it comes to Neptune, understand that Neptune is not a direct representation of something. It is a symbolic representation of something. So when it comes to the Sun and Neptune, when it comes to our own egos and how we perceive them, it's important to focus on the emotion rather than the symbol. It's important to focus on the emotion and the motive behind the symbolism rather than focusing on the symbolism itself. That's how we stop allowing ourselves to become delusional about who we are and where we're meant to go. Symbolism is so important, but interpreting that symbolism is even more important. That's how we stop sliding into delusions. And again, biquintile with Uttara Bhadrapada, with Magar and Uttara Bhadrapada, when they come together, magic can happen, because you've got Magar bringing ancestral wisdom and using that ancestral wisdom for the benefit of everybody. And then you've got, Uttara Bhadrapada coming in with their magical understanding. You've got ancestry and magic coming together in a way that actually fuels each other. That's where magic can happen. So, it's not that you should take symbolism seriously or symbolism literally. It's so that you should allow it. You know, you should allow it to teach you lessons via your emotions and motives and not via the imagery itself. Okay. So we've got Uranus, Venus. Let's see. No. Uranus, square Uranus with the ascendant. Okay. So we've got the square Uranus. Uranus in where there? Yeah, Uranus still in Critica. So with our ascendant squared Critica, there are going to be massive changes that we're going to be unprepared for, right? We are going to have massive changes that we're not prepared for, but it might ultimately do us a service in terms of our individual, what we want to do with our lives individually. It might serve a higher purpose, right? But yes, it is going to bring unwelcome changes. Critica, my God, there's going to be a clash of ideals at some point. Critica wants to cut everything down that is meaningless and that it doesn't amount to anything. Magar wants to hold on to tradition, wants to hold on to physical comforts. Critica just wants to come in and mow all that down. But again, it's about finding what's sacred, right? In between, you know, it's about finding what's sacred when it comes to what we love and, you know, what we want to transform. It comes back to that, right? So, yeah. There is going to be like a clash of what we want versus like what happens. There is a clash there, and there are unwelcome changes, but again, it's how we meet those changes that is most important. Okay. Let's see, because I already talked about Shartabisha. I think I've already talked about that with the Pura Palguni reading. I might briefly go over that. I might. Conjunct the moon opposite Ketu. I haven't talked about Mercury retrograde's trine with Purnavasu, right? Because there's also a lot of themes revolved around the past here. There are new things about the past that are uncovered, and with that, when it comes to that Shartabisha Mercury retrograde, a lot of us will be very keen to just talk our truth and get it out there without really thinking about it first. That's why it's so important to focus on ourselves at the moment, right? And again, it's in direct conflict with the Pura Palguni lunar eclipse. It is what it is, right? But the past is going to, like, there's a Mercury retrograde and there's a trine with Purnavasu and Jupiter. There's emphasis on the past here. And there are blessings related to the past that we're going to want to talk about because there's a conjunction with Mars, but it's not right to talk about it yet. Now is not the time to discuss anything to do with the past, because we'll just want to talk about it and we just won't think things through. I've done it. There are a lot of other people who have done it. They're not thinking anything through. Okay. Now let's go into Uttara Bhadrapada Sun, part of the course, because Ostara is always under an Uttara Bhadrapada Sun. I've already talked about the conjunction with Neptune at length. Saturn, I've got to talk about Saturn now. Where's Saturn? Yeah. Saturn is in Uttara Bhadrapada. So there's a conjunction with Sun and Saturn. This is a very serious and determined placement. The Sun conjunct with Saturn is about survival. It's about discipline. So a lot of us are going to be more disciplined when it comes to our self-expression, a lot more serious when it comes to expressing our higher selves. Again, there's that 1 and that 6 number, right? We're going to be a lot more serious when it comes to expressing ourselves. There's a sextile with Uranus here, which means our higher selves and our reason are comfortable with the changes that are coming up. You know, our outer selves are comfortable with the changes that we have to face, right? We're comfortable with the changes that have to be made, you know, the transformations that the cosmos brings to us, our higher selves, our sun selves are more comfortable with that than our ascendants and our lower selves. It's almost as if the changes that come at first, we're not going to like them, but then we're going to come around to them, because ascendants can change. Ascendants, as well as the moon, they change quickly. So our relationship with these changes will change over time. We'll become more comfortable with the changes that have been made over time, because they supplement our need to remain disciplined and our need to really strive for what we want here. Yeah. And then we've got the Shravana Pluto. Oh boy. Sextile Shravana Pluto. We're playing zero games when it comes to our higher selves. When it comes to our lower selves and our root selves, it's all about the romance. It's all about the abundance and the richness. But when it comes to our higher selves, it is all about discipline. And it is all about, removing anything in our path that gets in the way of what we're striving for. Do you understand what I mean? With that Shravana Pluto, it's kind of the good moments of Shravana here that we're getting. We're not getting the really deranged aspects of Shravana yet. we're getting the good parts of Shravana, because it's an early degree of Shravana. This is where we start to see healthy manifestations of, the balance of masculine and feminine. We start to see healthy manifestations of that. We start to see healthy manifestations of power. People who are, leading the charge and coming into their own power, but doing so in a way that is humble. So we're seeing the positive aspects of Pluto right now. We're not seeing the negative aspects of it yet. So I feel like for the next 9 years, we are going to come into our own power, our higher selves and our egos at least, but it's not going to be in a way that is destructive or domineering. A lot of us are going to come into it with a healthy sense of, okay, this is a duty. This is not a privilege. Power is not a privilege. It is never a privilege. It is always a duty. And that's exactly how we treat it. So with the Sun and Pluto, we're not playing any games. We're not playing any games. The determination is peak. Okay. So that was for the astrological portion. It's kind of all over the place, but this is the astrological portion of Ostara 2026. That's the big 5. Now I've got to get into what's going on during each year of Ostara from 2026 to 2035. It ends at 2035, all right? So year 1, like we discussed, year 1 sets the precedent for the entire 9 years. So it's number 1 and number 6. Those are the numbers that we're left with. And as I said before, when it comes to the first year, it's important that we build the right one-on-one relationships, and we explore new territory and we explore new things physically. It's the year of the fire horse, which means desire is up front. It means that our talents and our gifts, we're going to want to express that. But again, it's important to remember to be humble and to remember that our powers do not belong to us. Spirit only lends them to us so that we can do as much good for humanity as possible. Okay. So that's year 1, which I've discussed at length. Year 2, that's in 2026. Okay. So year 1 was more about exploring ourselves at our root, right? It was more about expressing ourselves from an emotional perspective and from a physical perspective, because of the year we were in. Year 2 is about expressing ourselves on a higher level. Those intimate relationships that we should have formed in year 1, they take center stage in year 2. This is the year in which now we form relationships, and also with that seasonal number of number 7, it's a time where we form intimate relationships with people and we expand our mental horizons, right? Now, in order to remedy these numbers, we are still physically traveling. We are still trying new things. But there is a real emphasis on mentally educating ourselves on different things, and especially doing so through intimate relationships that we will have with other people. It is a fire goat. It is a fire goat year, which means desire is still powerful. It's still rampant, but there's also a feeling of us feeling like our obstacles are just too high to climb, right? There's a feeling like we just can't do it. It's like we don't really feel the weight of having to do everything by ourselves until we get to year 2, right? Until we get to that second year. So obstacles feel solid. They feel like you can't really get past them. This is a time where we switch from humility to self-belief. Now, this is the time when we're meant to boost ourselves up. But we're meant to say to ourselves, look, man, I'm the GOAT. Literally. I'm the GOAT. I'm the motherfucking GOAT. Like, that patience that we're likely to have for our goals and ambitions and aspirations. That's when it's supposed to manifest as, I believe in who I am. I believe in myself. Do you understand what I mean? I believe in myself. I believe in, who I am and what I'm doing. I believe in it, right? It's going to not gravitate, but it's going to change from year 1 in which we believed our own power, in which we were majestic and fast. And now we're going to want to slow down partially because we feel like the obstacles are too much. But when we have self-belief and grit, and when we allow ourselves to expand our minds and to expand our horizons physically as well, when we expand our horizons, we don't just work hard at this point, we work smart. That's what the year 2 is all about. It's all about working smart and using our closest relationships to be able to do that. And it's also about realizing our higher selves. And as it turns out, our higher selves enjoy higher endeavors, as characterized by the fire goat. It enjoys like art and music and, all that good stuff, which is also a part of us expanding our minds, right? So we need to just have self-belief in year 2. That's what we need to be doing. We need to have self-belief. We need to believe in what we're doing. So could we have the humility part down? Now is the time for us to buckle up and be like, you know what? I'm the shit. I'm the shit. That's the attitude we need to have in year 2. Okay, year 3 is going to be about influence. Year 3 is going to be about influence and accomplishment, because it is number 3 and number 8. Number 3 at its highest level becomes image conscious, becomes focused on accomplishment, because they've taken their authenticity and self-expression and they've turned it into something that is of service to other people and that will help them accomplish their goals. So that's number 3. Number 8 is accomplishment. Number 8 is business, finance. Number 8 is the use of karma in order to get what one wants. Okay. So this year 3, which is 2028, that's going to be about accomplishment, and it's also going to be about branding. All right. It's also going to be the year of the earth monkey. So it's about having our desires now become nourishment for ourselves and other people. And with the monkey, it's all about play. It's all about having fun, which seems to be at odds with 3 and 8, but it really isn't. Play forms the core of accomplishment. I'm going to say it again. Play forms the core of accomplishment. It's when we forget that we burn ourselves out, that we run ourselves ragged, and that we don't perform to the best of our abilities when it comes to our talents. Enjoyment, any genius will tell you, enjoyment, like becoming immersed in that thing that you're passionate about, That is how talent is formed. All of us have gifts that we're born with, right? We have gifts that we're born with. And, you know, it depends on how hard we're willing to work as to whether or not that gift turns into a talent. But talent comes from passion and hard work. So playfulness is fine. It's just that in order for it to have direction, you need to like anchor it in service and nourishment towards other people, because earth is about nourishment. Earth is Earth is about nourishment, right? It's also with Mercury, it's also about being connected, because that's what Earth is, right? Earth is Mercury. It's also about having your ears to the ground and listening to everything around you, right? It's about listening to everything around you. Okay? It's about understanding how other people are responding to the work that you do and kind of tailoring it accordingly. But again, other people's opinions cannot form the crux of what you're doing in year 3. What has to form the crux of what you do is your enjoyment and your spiritual connection to what you're doing. Okay, so the best remedy for the 3 and 8 year is we are once again expanding our mental horizons, but it means exploring ideas that we ourselves are interested in without the opinions or the perspectives of anyone else. Like when we expand our minds, we expand our minds in ways that interest us. It's got nothing to do with anyone else. That's the remedy for the 3 and 8 year. We expand our minds and we do so solo. In the same way that during Ostara, when we seek commitment and we seek a community, we do so solo. We do so without the opinions of other people. Okay, so year 4. This is interesting because like it's a 4 and 9 year, but there are themes of beauty and abundance as well for this year. So it's a little bit tricky. It's a 4 and 9 year, and it's a year of the Earth Rooster. When we get the number 4, right, we've got hard work, we've got graft, we've got, we do have abundance, but number 4 represents abundance through hard work rather than abundance through, let's say, number 8, which is ultimately abundance through knowing how to sell to people or knowing, number 8 is accomplishment, but it's like, it's more, I don't know if abstract is the right word. It's less practical than number 4, because number 4 is just simply about graft and engaging in the most practical solutions when it comes to abundance. So we've got number 4, but we've also got number 9, which is a very crucial part of, it's the seasonal path of number 4. Number 9, which is ultimately about helping the less fortunate. It's not necessarily about peacefulness, but it's about helping the less fortunate or being driven towards a purpose that actually means something to you. Because number 9 is a very powerful number. It's a very powerful number of dualistic emotion, but it's also a number of powerful creative talent. It's just where that creative talent is placed is going to make all the difference. Okay, so number 9 is the second number that is incorporated here, but it's going to be the most important number this year, right? One of the remedies to this particular year is in self-expression. So when it comes to number 9, it's about focusing on the more creative aspects of the number 9. Because with that number 9 there, emotions are going to be running very high. You're talking about the moon and Mars. Emotions are going to run high. We're going to run off heat alone. What we need to do with that heat is to channel it into refined artistry and refined self-expression, powerful self-expression. That is how we remedy the 4 and 9. That's how we make our work worth something, because we are going to be expected to fucking graft during year 4, which is 2029. Okay. It's the year of the earth rooster as well. So like there's this emphasis on beauty. Not only is there this emphasis on beauty, but we're going to be looking up at the stars. We're going to be looking up at, I mean, like Divine Venus says, we're going to be looking up at the stars. We're going to be looking towards the heavens. We're going to be having all these wonderful, incredible ideas that come up, and we're going to want to be like, these ideas are so good. I want to, I mean, that's what the rooster's good for, right? It's for reminding people of the bigger picture. And when it comes to beauty and abundance and wealth, we are going to want to look at the bigger picture. And that's not a bad thing. But those ideas we have, that artistry, it needs to be grounded in the reality of everyday life. That's what the number 9 does. It grounds creative impulses in, reality. That's what makes it so powerful. It grinds it in the reality of nature and the reality of one's emotions. Man, when you ground those visions of beauty and the larger picture, and you ground them and you put them into emotions and nature, that's a powerful combination. So that is how we meet the year 4. It's going to be a year of really hard work. It's going to be a year of solid graft. It's not going to be an easy year. It's going to be a year that reveals whether or not we have what it takes to maintain pressure. It's really going to test us. But the remedy for that is in the most powerful and refined self-expression. That's how we get through it. And also transparency. That is transparency, really. Like grounding our creativity and self-expression in reality. That is transparency, really. So we've got a number 5 year. We come right back around with 5 and 1. Those numbers represent pure will. They represent divine will and destiny with the number 5. And they represent earthly will and the powerful ego self with the number 1. It's about will. It's about sheer will. There will be changes, but it will be up to us to meet those changes head on with the 5 and the 1 there, right? We are going to be meeting changes head on. We're going to want to meet changes head on. But it's also the year of the metal dog, which means that as much as we will need structure and survival, our ambitions will absolutely take over. Okay, our ambitions will absolutely take over. So as much as we need that structure, as much as we, try to get along to go along in order to survive, that metal boy, that metal will have us thinking, you know what? No, fuck that. I've got a higher ambition to fulfill, which goes right in line with number 1. Like, we will be especially driven and especially aggressive. When it comes to 2030, we will be especially aggressive with what we want to do. Very, very aggressive. So the best way to remedy that is to once again have those intimate relationships that calm us down, but also to give us the space to express ourselves authentically within these relationships. Because, with so much going on in 2030, with so much power being exemplified, we're going to need that deep joy, and to be able to, to free ourselves. Like, we're going to need that deep joy and that connection to balance us, to ground us out. Because even though the dog is very loyal and quite obedient, there's that metal is like, absolutely fucking not. Absolutely not. Yeah. So let's move on to 2031, which is year number 6, okay? So year number 6, we've got the numbers 6 and 2, all right? And 6 and 2 is in a metal pig year, right? The pig wants to live life slowly, wants to stop and smell the flowers, wants to enjoy the simple things in life. And with that 6 and 2 there, that is very supplementary, because the 6 and the 2 are all about relationships. They are all about relationships. They're all about wanting to luxuriate in the blessings of life. And, you know, the kind of year that it is, there's also that emphasis on higher, you know, on higher belief systems and on what we learn from, you know, life around us. And, you know, it has us wanting to think loftier thoughts, you know, on top of the beautiful aspects of relationships. There's that metal, though, that metal element, which has us still being a little bit more ambitious, but it might be somewhat tempered this year in the number 2031. It might be somewhat tempered. So in order to light a fire underneath us and to stop us becoming too complacent, we will need number 5. Number 5 is travel, if necessary, moving. It's migration. It's physical, new physical experiences are what we're going to need, not only to balance out the number 6 and 2 energies, but to reinforce them. Because how are we going to build communities and relationships properly if we don't even know what we like? So the number 5 is going to be important to both those numbers. Traveling, expanding is going to be important to both 6 and 2 for the year 2031. Okay. So yeah, leading from the back. Yeah, leading from the back. It just simply means just like adhering to your own pleasures and leading other people to stop and smell the flowers, and leading other people to, you know, slow down and to give support where necessary, because you're already filling your own cup, right? So yeah, 6 and 2, giving support where necessary. It's all about love. So that's what it means to lead from the back, right? And then we've got the year 7. That's going to be a year of some graft, all right? That's going to be a year where we are expected to really put our foot in whatever it is that we want to do. So there's the year 7, which brings up the numbers of 7 and 3. Now, this is the thing about 7 and 3 that most people don't know. Both 7 and 3 are very communicative. They're very communicative. Whereas with the number 7, they try to be more grounded with the things that they talk about. With number 3, they tend to talk about loftier ideals, right? But 7 and 3 combined, it's about communication, it's about talking. But given how tricky the number year 7 is, if we communicate in ways that are not rooted in wisdom and rooted in things that we actually know, whatever we communicate can backfire this year. So 2032, we need to be careful of what we say. We cannot just express ourselves willy-nilly. And the number 7 is going to be the most important number for 2032, because it means expanding our mental horizons, learning as much as possible before we say what we have to say or express what we have to express. Okay. It's about the merging of science with artistry, and people think that's easier, but it's not easier. It's actually more difficult and involves more discipline. So expanding your mind, making sure you have all the information before communicating or doing anything is going to be really important for 2032. And it is the year of the water rat. The rat, which feels the need to win at every opportunity, but it's also water. So that need to win, that need to, to be the one in front, it might be somewhat tempered, which is a good thing, because, during this year, it's important that we don't just focus on having the last word or being the first to do something. It's about helping ourselves and helping each other, especially helping each other. We need to help each other during this time as well. That's what keeps us humble, and that's what keeps us grounded. So that's a 2032 year. I'm going to run over time, I know. We got the 2033 year. So we got the 2033 year 8. So once again, that's another year of hard graft. It's going to be a year of, it's also going to be a year where structures are fundamentally changed, though. So While that's happening, though, while that's happening, we have a number 8 year and a number 4 year. Both 8 and 4 are about working towards economic prosperity. But whereas 8 does this through, the talents that they're known for and the influence they carry, the number 4 is known through, through what they actually share with people. So number 4 is about hard graft, and number 8 is about accomplishments in one particular field that we're good at. So when you combine them together, that's an unstoppable force of accomplishment, achievement, and working towards wealth. So that is what we are going to be doing for 2033, okay? And water, again, there's going to be a certain amount of discernment and a certain amount of wisdom, but that will actually supplement the number 8 in particular. It will supplement our accomplishments. It will supplement our business sense. Using discernment is going to be extremely important, but it's going to be something that we are inclined to do. So year 8 might not be that difficult, actually. It might be that, we might be on the same page with the year 8. With year 8, we might be on the same page here. Especially the fact that it's the water ox year. Water ox wants to work hard. It wants to graft. It wants to accomplish things, right? But the remedy for the water ox, or for the ox in particular, it falls right in line with the remedy for the 8 and 4. It's about stepping up to the plate and focusing on our own leadership. And what that means is standing alone. So the remedy for 8 and 4 is to stand alone in our leadership, stand alone in what we believe in, stand alone in what we invest our hard work into. It's also about prioritizing ourselves and prioritizing our own ambitions. Falls right in line with Saturn, falls right in line with the remedy for it's about standing alone. It's about standing alone, but not only standing alone, but standing alone in power and leadership, leading the charge with our individual work and the things that we are working at. Now we got to let the humility go. This is like, by the time 2033 comes around, we let the humility go. This is where we let the humility go. And this is where we stand in the spotlight and be like, yeah, this is my shit. This is my things here. These are my things. These are my ambitions, my drive. Yeah. Without a doubt. This is where we truly come into our own in 2033. Now let's get on to the last year. Last but not least is 2034, year 9. This is going to be a very interesting year. So year 9, once again, is about belief systems, but it's also about challenging the illusions within those belief systems. So there might be some religious wars or religious disagreements in 2034 collectively. 9 and 5, that's Mars. 9 and 5 are going to be the numbers that are representing 2034. That's Mars. Yeah, that's Mars. That is, that is virility. That is even a certain amount of self-sacrifice for the good of the world. It's about being of the world and not being corrupted by the world. So 9 and 5 is about hard work. It is about hard work, but it's more than that. It's about drive. It's about determination. And it's about accomplishment, yes, but not accomplishment for oneself. It's about accomplishment for the greater good, destiny for the greater good. Number 5 is supposed to be about expanding your horizons physically, but with that 9 there, we're not going to be doing it solely for our own pleasures or solely to experience things. We're going to be doing it for a higher purpose. So there's a wood tiger right alongside that. The tiger is a ferocious animal, a ferocious beast, because You know, the tiger likes to defend its territory, likes to defend its space. But more than that, it's basically Martian in expression. Even though it's technically Aquarius, the tiger is Martian in expression in the sense that it's outwardly abrasive but inwardly vulnerable. So the same remedy for the tiger is the same remedy for the 9 and 5 year. It's to allow ourselves to experience our vulnerability and our sensitivity, to stop ourselves from becoming too overly aggressive. Yeah. And with that wood element, that falls right in line for the true remedy of 9 and 5, self-expression. Self-expression of our vulnerability, of our creativity, of our authenticity. Yeah, that's going to be absolutely crucial and absolutely key for 2034. Right? Outro. What have we learned with this Ostara 9-year cycle? What have we learned here? Right? What we have learned is 3 things. First of all, that we need to, actually, we've learned 4 things. First thing is that we need intimate relationships throughout the next 9 years that makes us humble, makes us grounded, reminds us of who we are in a kind and generous manner, right? First thing we see from that. The second thing we see from that is that we need to explore our physical horizons, try new things, meet new people, do new things. Number 3 is that we need to expand our minds mentally. That means studying. That means, opening our minds to different perspectives. That means, yeah, like I said, learning new things. That's number 7, expanding ourselves mentally. And last but not least, it's about self-expression. It's about expression of our authenticity, which taken to a higher level, it becomes image consciousness and accomplishment. So those are the 4 things that we should be left with when it comes to not only Ostara 2026, but for the whole 9-year cycle. Okay, so that's it from me for the astrology and the numerology. I am going to do some tarot readings tomorrow. Hopefully they should be uploaded tomorrow. I'll upload them as soon as possible, so don't even worry about that. But in the meantime, I am Empress Justice, and I will see you for the tarot readings for Ostara. Take care. Bye-bye, my darlings.